Y'all, the one question that I always get asked while streaming Wizard101 is, why do you still play in 2024? And I thought, in honor of Wizard101's 16th birthday, I would talk about all the reasons that I continue playing even in the year 2024, 16 years into the game. Now, I did make a video like this last year in 2023, so I'm gonna focus more on stuff that they've done in the past 365 days, but I would argue that it's been a big year for Wiz. And I don't mean big necessarily by, like, you know, the number of updates or number of players or any of that, even though I would argue they're actually up. I'm talking simply in terms of the types of things they're doing that point to the direction that they're going. I think it's a big year. I think big reason number one, I feel like up to, you know, this year especially, it seemed to me like Wizard101 was experimenting a lot with changes and just adding more and more things. And I think experimenting with a game as old as Wizard101 is a very, very hard thing to do, right? Because on one hand, you have all of these things that maybe worked, you know, 150 levels ago that simply don't work anymore. And you want to make the quality of the game better, but you also don't want to mess with like the nostalgic component of it. So I think experimenting is really, really hard to do. And I would argue a year ago, they were probably at what I would say is one of the worst states of the game that I've seen in the past 5 years. I'm not saying this just to be harsh, and you can feel free to disagree with me. Maybe there have been worse years, but at the same time last year, Novus was the final world, and the pity system, or however you want, whatever you want to call this, because I would not call it a pity system. It was so bad that even in summer, people were still farming a world that had dropped months and months ago to get all the gear that they needed on all their wizards. For PvP, the only competitive piece of gear that you could run for your hat, your boots, your robe, and sometimes even your wand was all from a pack with no ability to farm it elsewhere whatsoever, even if you wanted to. And while Wizard101 had been experimenting with a lot of ways to, like, you know, solidify a school identity for every single school, the sheer number of legacy spells and legacy mechanics made PvP almost impossible to play. Now, you might be wondering, why am I pointing out all of these ways in which Wiz was bad a year ago when I'm talking about why I'm still playing this year? Well, because I think sometimes you do need to make the game a little bit worse, or maybe even make mistakes along the way to learn what you need to learn to make the game a lot better. Because since then, we have a world like Wallaroo, which has taken a pity system and actually made it accessible to a lot of people. If grinding gear was a reason why you fell out of love with this game, especially before Wallaroo came out, this world completely changed that, right? From just getting badges, from doing bosses a finite number of times, you could basically just use reagents to craft almost anything that you need at max level. What I think they did beautifully with this is that they not only made it so you could get all of your end game gear using reagents that drop in the world of Wallaroo, but by getting a few badges, you can craft jewels that you're probably going to need for the rest of the time you ever play Wiz, like Pure jewels, and even pins so that they're way more accessible than how they used to be, where you have to farm these little by little with no way to craft them at all. I don't think they would have made Wallaroo so good if they hadn't learned what was so bad about the directions they went the previous years. And I hope the feedback is loud and clear from everybody. This is the direction that people want. If they put out a bunch of worlds like Wallaroo, I'll probably be playing until the very death of this game. The shift in direction they've done with stuff like this, really, really, really good. As far as the other two things that I mentioned as well, which maybe doesn't affect as many people as, you know, the actual new worlds and how the gear acquisition work, they've done a much, much better job with that too. They made it so that drains actually do a normal amount of damage, so that now every single school at max level is competitive for the first time in over a year. Compared to last year, right now, if you wanted any piece of gear from any pack, there's a way to farm it as long as you either have a gold key or a rematch duel. That's something that you could have never said at any other point in Wizard101. I think a lot of the stuff that they've, you know, experimented with changing over the years, I think it's really coming to fruition. And I'm really, really excited about what's going to happen when things feel balanced. That's where the fun's really going to begin. And honestly, I feel like the best days are truly ahead. The recent news about them putting out, like, you know, a new dungeon or side world or whatever they're gonna do instead of like a main storyline world that's even possibly bigger than Wallaroo, that news, along with the fact that they're expanding the console, it gives me a lot of hope, right? Even recently, they've been taking a lot of W's that I don't think people appreciate as much as they could. Now, is it all rainbows and unicorns? No, y'all. I think, in my opinion, it's been a rough ride for me to mentally get to this point. If y'all don't know, it's my birthday today. I'm finally 25, and exactly a year ago, and this was something I was thinking about while I was showering. I was like, you know, I'm about to make this video. Do I bring this up? About a year ago, I was streaming on my birthday, and I was getting stream sniped by a group of people that had been doing it for about 2 months. And this wasn't like a debatable whether they're stream sniping or not. These were people admitting to it in my DMs and in Wizard101 chat that they were going to go out of their way to get me. I'll see if I have the screenshot still, but there was literally an entire call full of people streaming my games, taking turns getting me, cheating to get their rank. This is to say that about a year ago, I was on the verge of quitting because I don't even think I could have possibly played the game. And the point that I'm just trying to illustrate is, I actually think for me, personally, the biggest issue that's ever going to hold back the game going forward is going to be the community. And I'll say this, y'all, it's gotten a lot better, you know, in the past year. I do think a lot of people have grown the hell up and decided that, you know, teaming up to harass people for entertainment isn't chill. But I think more importantly than that, I think it's an extension of the fact that more people actually do want to get along when they're playing Wizard101. I'd argue things like the PvP and PvE divide, they're going away more and more as people do more activities together. And frankly, I feel like if people really look at playing Wizard101 as just being on the same team instead of being about anything else, I really think that nothing could really stop the game from growing. Now, I will say this to be fair, I don't think the community is the only thing that's capable of stunning the growth of the game. I do think it will come down to the decisions that Wiz makes in the future as well. They have a good thing going on right now, but if they choose to repeat the same mistakes that made people exhausted with the way the game was moving, it will just be more of the past again, which isn't something that I think is good. One particular area that I hope they do just a little bit better with is figuring out what is worth paying for and how much effort it should translate to. I think one of the big ones for me right now is like spell elements. Like if you open up packs for spell elements, the amount of time that you save versus the other methods that you could do and the amount of tediousness you avoid, like it's not even just time, it's like repetitive farming or repetitive chest opening or even repetitive beast mooning, right? The sheer difference in the effort that it takes to pay for something versus not. I get that they have profits to make at the end of the day, and I'm not going to complain about things that you pay for if there's a free way to do it, I guess. But I do think it could be a little bit more reasonable. That little conversion that they got going on, I don't know. Maybe a way to optimize it so people will still spend a lot of crown. I don't know. I don't think it's just a simple zero-sum game of let's just make as much money as we can. I think they could do a much better job of figuring out what it means to respect the player's time. That's something that if you have a problem with, I'm totally on your side on this. They need to be better about. So for why I still play this year, there's a lot of things that they're doing that I'm frankly excited about. And what I'm truly hoping is that the game gets better and the people that play it band together to make it the best that it can be. That's my 2 cents on this question, especially in the context of the past year. This is probably the nicest and most positive video I'll ever make of Wiz this year. Tomorrow there will be slander. But I hope what y'all got out of it is even beyond the drama and some of the more negative elements, I think the vast majority of things that they put out, especially recently, you know, I think they're taking feedback, they're trying to make the game better, and it's a lot better than previously. Let me know whether you guys agree. I know a lot of people are more pessimistic than I am, and I think your opinion's valid too. I'd love to hear why you think the way you do. Let me know in the comments. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Leave us up a review, and as always, if somebody hasn't told you you're awesome today, they doing something wrong. Stay awesome. See y'all soon, and yeah.